Hi, I'm Steve Neuge, bassist for Audience of Rain, and this is my rig rundown. You good? I'm Steve Neuge, bassist for Audience of Rain, and this is my rig rundown. So I like the PV Mark IV bass head. This thing is built like a tank. I can take it anywhere. You can throw it at the bottom of a pile in the minivan or in the bottom of a U-Haul, and this thing will just keep kicking. You can't kill it. They're indestructible. It's missing a few knobs, but it still sounds just fine. And I like the Ampeg 410. This is the classic series. I really like the 410 over the 12s because this gives, I play with a lot of distortion, so this adds a nice crunch to that high end that you don't get with some of the wider speakers quite as much. My pedal board with Audience currently consists of a Line 6 relay. I use the G30. It's a super affordable entry towards going wireless. Then we move on to a chromatic tuner here, the TU3. I've had this thing for years. Again, Boss absolute tank. Then we move on to an MXR bass compressor. Now, this isn't really, compressors aren't sexy to a lot of people who aren't studio engineers, but it's really important to get a consistent volume, and that's what this guy takes control of. I go through a lot of rotations. This guy's currently not plugged in, but this is the envelope filter that we use. It's like a wah pedal. We use it in a few places, like sometimes you'll hear it in the song Again. It's part of our set list. From here, we go into the Microtubes B7K Ultra. This is the V2. I really love the low end and the high end crunch that you get from this thing. It's just absolutely the perfect sound for what we're looking for here. This actually runs into a SansAmp bass driver, so I use this guy. These are kind of always on. I'll use one or the other. I'll use this for some of the more classic rock sounding songs like Again or I'll either use this or the Microtubes B7K. I'll use one or the other. Turn this one on when I turn that one off. I'll use this for most of the songs, especially the songs in lower tunings, but this guy comes into play for some of the more rock-styled songs. So like Again or After Image, this guy will come on for that because it gives kind of that more vintage crunch. But the clarity of this pedal is a little bit better, which is important for the low ends, especially with those smaller speaker cones. This then goes into a carbon copy analog delay pedal with the mod. Matt Snyder actually turned me on to these guys. I really like them because as a bassist, you can't really throw reverb on except in a handful of situations, so this is kind of a nice substitute for that that still lets me get kind of an ambient feel. And then we run out of that into the head and cap. And now we're going to move on to my basses. Dude, that's not mine. So this is my main workhorse. This is an Ibanez 1805. It's a 5-string, obviously, 24 frets with two big single Nordstrand pickups in it. I really like this bass because these pickups are very similar to the ones that go into Dingwall basses. It's got its own preamp, some EQs that you can toggle off and on. I typically use both pickups, but I rely more heavily on the bridge just for that tone that we get from it. We keep this in drop B flat. We play this for most of the songs, except when we go to some of the songs that are in a drop C tuning, or sometimes we use drop C with a low G underneath it. Now this is a 4-string, and I don't have this with a low G. I typically use Matt's custom T-Smith bass for that one. That one is incredible. It's got some really crazy electronics on it. Shout out to T-Smith guitars. This is a Spectre Legend with a hollow flash finish. So this is actually holographic like those old Pokemon cards. So depending on how the light hits it, it shines a little bit differently. It's a really cool bass. I really like it. It's got some EMGs in it. And again, 24 frets, so I can go up and down the neck. I can noodle about as much as I want, even though we don't really do that here. All right, so that's my rig rundown. Now that you know what kind of equipment I use, please don't rob me.